Episode 4 of the Fallout television series is titled The Ghouls, and for good reason, since it focuses not only on the main ghoul, but others, and how they survived and continue to maintain their sense of self. The show starts off with the ghoul and Lucy trekking through a small desert town where they hear a lot of yelling. They enter one of the ruined buildings to find another ghoul who is fighting the feral side from taking over. In this scene, we see a slightly softer side of the ghoul when he tries to ease the pain of his friend by talking about some good memories before killing the feral ghoul and stripping him for all he's worth. I know it seems counterintuitive to say that we're seeing this softer side of his personality while at the same time he kills his friend in cold blood. However, I think he was really trying to spare his friend the indignity of completely losing his mind. He took a moment to talk with him and get him to remember something good from his past, and in that moment, he killed his friend with that nice thought on his mind. It's not a bad way to go out when you consider the alternative. That said, once his friend was dead, he did what had to be done to survive by taking what he could to earn some money, and he taught Lucy a lesson on the wasteland at the same time. It's scenes like these that really show us the range of emotions going through the ghoul's mind. He has survived through the worst of everything, and yet he still has some of his humanity intact after living for over 200 years in the wasteland. The show then cuts to the vault where we see people putting up signs to vote for the next overseer of Vault 33. When we cut back to the ghoul and Lucy, the ghoul again teaches Lucy a lesson by enticing her to drink dirty water. The ghoul then starts coughing and Lucy runs, only to find that she is at the crater of Shady Sands. After a brief fight with the ghoul, where Lucy loses a finger, the scene cuts back to the vault, where we see an interaction between Chet and Stephanie, which turns into a weird, semi-sexual encounter. I have to say that weird as that scene was, it is something that happens more often than you might think. However, it ends abruptly when her water breaks and she goes into labor. We next see Lucy enter the Super Duper Mart as the ghoul attempts to sell her for more of the chem that he uses to stay in control of his faculties. He passes out as she enters the building. At this point, we get a much better look at a working Mr. Handy while he fixes her finger. As you may know, the Mr. Handy robot was produced by General Atomics and was one of the most widely used bots in the US prior to the war. This Handy, however, was slightly reprogrammed to harvest organs. The Handy still follows its core programming, so it repairs Lucy's severed finger and tries to give some good bedside manner. Since this Handy was clearly a doctor variant of the robot lineup, this makes sense for its core programming. We next cut to Norm in Vault 33, where we see him investigating what happened to Vault 32. He clearly has some excellent hacking skills since he gets into the inter-vault communication logs. We see a trade screen between Vault 33 and Vault 31, where Vault 33 gave some generator parts and technical expertise in exchange for medicine. Then, on the next screen, we see a direct communication between Vaults 33 to 31. In this communication, we see that someone named Martin Johnson sent a message on February 24th of 2095 to Vault 31. The message says, "As you are aware, our vault has been experiencing some recent difficulties. Despite our best efforts, we have been unable to repair our own internal systems and are currently exploring options." This is a strange communication. What difficulties was Martin talking about, and what options could they have been exploring? Sound off in the comments below. At this point, Norm tries to access the Vault 32 communication logs and fails his hacking attempt as he gets an access denied response. Norm is clearly a cut above the rest as far as his hacking skills go, but he still has room for improvement too. This failure forces him to get Chet to go with him to explore Vault 32 in order to get some of those answers he is looking for. This is the first time we see the Pip-Boy flashlight in action. Norm finds a dead body and decides to check the Pip-Boy, where he learns that the last biosign was over 2 years ago. The Vault 32 residents killed each other before the raiders got in, and Norm finds some writing on the wall next to a burnt skeleton that says, "We know the truth." What happened in Vault 32 and what truth did they know? Well, that has yet to be revealed, and I would be happy to hear your theories in the comments below. We next see Lucy being wheeled through the mart, where we see multiple prisoners and the 2 people in charge of the operation. She is taken to an operating room, and with some quick thinking, Lucy manages to get free of her bonds and disables the Mr. Handy with a defibrillator. She then replaces the syringes with Abraxo-filled ones. This, however, is where her bright ideas end. She mistakenly tries to use the bot as a hostage for her freedom and is promptly told how stupid she is right to her face by the duo. Honestly, that interaction is probably the funniest one in this episode because of how awkward it was for her to try to use the bot as a hostage. Ultimately, she does get what she wants, just not the way she originally planned. Lucy still thinks that she can use the lessons that she learned in the vault when dealing with Wastelanders. She still thinks that kindness is the way to get what you want, and she keeps learning that the Wasteland is anything but kind, the hard way. Even with learning things the hard way, she still clings to that kindness with every encounter in the blind hope that it will work one day. We could call her idealistic, but I think she is just naive. This leads to her making a bad decision in her making the duo open the cages that the feral ghouls were in. Obviously, the duo got killed and the most dangerous ghouls died too, but Lucy was left with one that she had to kill too. Lucy was very reluctant to do so, and being forced to kill broke her just a little bit more. Her trip into the Wasteland has taken her piece by piece, and it shows with each passing episode. The show then cuts back to Vault 32, where Chet and Norm have made their way into the Overseer's office. Chet noticed a message on the wall that says, "Death to Management." Norm once again uses his hacking skill to access the Overseer's terminal. On the terminal, we see research logs, software operations, personal logs, and vault door control. The submenu for vault door control has security protocols, vault door control interface, vault door logs, and vault door status. Accessing vault door logs reveals validating emergency responder certification, request timed out, authorizing emergency access, done. Accessing vault door control interlink, done. External key access, user key. The vault door is now opening. Vault door status, open. After a bit of hacking, the external key access was PBID, McLean Rose. This was Norm's mom's name. Clearly she left the vault, but how did the raiders know where to find Vault 32's entrance? And better yet, how did they know that this Pip-Boy would be able to open the vault door? This is something we will learn in a later episode. We next see Lucy outside the Super Duper Mart talking to the ghoul and reminding him of the Golden Rule. This time, however, her version of the Golden Rule is slightly tainted, and for the first time, she uses some profane language. The one thing I want to know more about is this chem. It is not something that has been in any of the Fallout games. It has been hinted at in Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC, where on a side quest, we learned that some of the staff had turned into ghouls, and a couple of them believed that a cure existed somewhere in the wasteland. Maybe this chem is what they were looking for. Maybe it is something else. Either way, I want to learn more about it. After using the chem, the ghoul goes inside the mart to loot what he can of the place. While there, he finds one of his films and sits down to watch it. You can really see on his face that he not only remembers it, but he feels bad about the way the film ended. Remember, he wanted the film to end with him taking the bad guy to jail, but the producers said that he had to kill the bad guy because it was supposed to depict the fact that even the good guy could go vigilante. Cooper Howard went along with the change, and as he now sits watching the end of the film, he has remorse for not having the courage to stand up against the change to the character that he had spent his entire career creating. Something clearly happened later on before the war, because we saw in the first episode he was performing at a children's birthday party instead of making films. I think we will find out more about his backstory in future seasons, because the answer to what I just talked about is not made clear this season. We do learn more about his backstory, but nothing about the actual break between him and his wife and his fall from grace. This was the end of the episode, and the zoom out started off at a drive-in and ends at another vault door. We saw a lot more character development with Lucy, the ghoul, and Norm. Norm started out as a side character, but has really started to become part of the main cast. He is truly one of the best characters in the show, and I can't wait to learn more of what he does in the series. What did you think of this episode? Do you agree with my assessment of Norm? Are you excited to learn more about the ghoul? Sound off in the comments below. While you're at it, like, subscribe, and share. And as always, I'm just glad you stopped by, and I'll see you in the next one.